Hello students. So now we will be studying the limitations of the accounting standards. Now what are the limitations of the accounting standards? We'll be looking here. Limitations of accounting standards are basically accounting standards, as we all know, accounting standards is basically the standards made for the accountants so that the uniformity can be maintained. Now the thing is, accounting standards gives us so many choices, so it is difficult to choose between the choices, because both the choices, or if there are three choices, all the choices are so much relatable to the business. So we as accountant, or we as a company, are in a dilemma which one to choose. So the first is, accounting standard makes choice between different alternative accounting treatments difficult to apply. It is very much difficult, as we all know that while at the calculation of depreciation, there are two methods. The first one is the straight line method. The second one is the written down value method. The straight line method simply says that to record the depreciation, that is to charge the depreciation on a same amount every year. That is, if the machinery is of rupees 5 lakhs, so the depreciation, suppose the depreciation rate is 10%. So first year's depreciation will be 50,000 and the next year's depreciation will also be 50,000. It simply says to charge the depreciation on the cost of that machinery. The initial cost of the machinery is to be charged on. Is that clear? But the second one is the written down value method. Written down value method simply says to charge the depreciation. This simply says to charge the depreciation first. Obviously the first year's depreciation will be same in both the cases. That is the first case in the SLM and WDV, it will be same. That is 5 lakhs, 10% of 5 lakhs will give you 50,000 rupees. Is that okay? Now the second one says the first year's depreciation will be same. Second year, the value of the machinery has been decreased by 50,000. When we see this, suppose a machinery was purchased for 5 lakhs. First year's depreciation is 50,000. How come 50,000? 10% of 5 lakhs is 50,000. The remaining amount left after the amount has been depreciated, the amount has been deducted, is 4,50,000. So written down value method says to charge depreciation on the written down value method. That is, written down value method says to charge the depreciation on the written down value. So what is the written down value? It is 4,50,000. In this, the second year's depreciation will be 50,000, and in this case, the second year's depreciation will be 45,000. So they are almost very much close. So that's why there is a difficulty to apply which accounting standards or which choice has to be followed. Okay, so that was the first limitation of the accounting standard. Now we'll come to the second one. Second is, it is rigidly followed and fails to extend flexibility applying accounting standards. Obviously, when you start to use the first type of accounting standards, so it will be very much difficult to change it. So it is so much rigid that there is no flexibility. For example, if you have purchased a machinery for rupees 5 lakhs, suppose you started charging depreciation as per the first method, and after 2 to 3 years you thought to just change the method. So that cannot be possible if you don't have the main reason. If the reason behind that is good, if it is giving the proper information, if it is giving the proper information to the users, with which they can take the decisions, the financial decisions, then only it will be appropriate. Or else it is so much rigid that you just cannot change the way, the method of the accounting standards, as which was implemented in the first thing. Okay, so this is the second limitation of the accounting standards. So third one is, accounting standard can't override the statute. Now what is the meaning of statute? The law. It cannot override the law. If the law says this thing has to be done according to this type only, So the accounting standards cannot overrule. That is, accounting standards is not over and above the law. Law is above the accounting standards. So you simply will have to follow the statute, that is the law. So that's why it is written the accounting standards are required to be framed within the ambit of prevailing statute. That is, the law which is prevailing at present in the country, the accounting standards have to be maintained, have to be made according to that law. This is the limitation of the accounting standards, because the law is the supreme power. Above that, nothing is there. So accounting standard also has to follow the law first, then only the accounting standards can be followed. So the accounting standards and the law should go hand in hand. Is that clear? So these were basically the three limitations of the accounting standards, which simply says the choices between the methods is so much difficult that both are almost similar, as we just saw. Second was the when you have chosen the first one, so it has become so rigid that to change you need to have a solid reason if the users can make the financial decisions more appropriately. The third one is the law is the supreme power. Simple. The summary is law is the supreme power. You just can't override the law. That is the statute. Okay. I hope this explanation is very much clear to you. That is the limitations of accounting standards. Thank you so much.